Cyclone Judy reaching Vanuatu on tonight's tropical weather bulletin. And now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical weather bulletin for February 28th. The last day of the month is a code blue day, and 10 storms have formed so far around the world this year. Enala still holding on as a tropical storm in virtually the same place it was 2 days ago, and Judy really blowing up with massive cloud tops as it approaches Vanuatu. Remnants of Freddy still active as well. 93 days until the Atlantic hurricane season, and we're seeing a few extratropical storms blowing up now over the North Atlantic there. A couple actually there, and another system over the United States, what caused that severe weather outbreak yesterday, continuing into today over there, just about to reach the coast. Look down here in the southern hemisphere, Judy there, a high-end tropical storm getting towards now as it approaches the islands of Vanuatu. Will pass over those in the next few days. Another system in the Coral Sea to its west, 60% chance on that now as it moves towards the same area. Another area of interest, at least in my opinion, reaching the coast of Australia there, that big blob. Some rotation in that on radar as it moves inland. And then we've got Cyclone Enala way down there in the South Indian Ocean. Storms don't tend to survive that long in that area, and it is on borrowed time. And our analyst team have marked Freddy for a 20% chance of regeneration. I'm not sure it ever left tropical depression status, but I'm sure it'll be one to look at in the reanalysis. But certainly, could that saga continue? We'll wait and see. Check out the satellite imagery throughout the course of the last 24 hours, and you'll note that probably the biggest producer there has been that Australian system, as well as some massive convection over Africa briefly, but generally you can still see Freddy's remnants causing quite a lot of rainfall there as well. However, take a look at Judy. This is the view from the Himawari 9 satellite. Extremely high cloud tops from this storm. You generally get that in the South Pacific, but it's easily getting well above minus 90 degree cloud tops, approaching minus 100. And you've also got that other area of interest to its west there in the South Pacific. You can see a very tiny system that's starting to wrap round quite nicely there, and I would favour its chances for development in behind Judy. How much it gets stunted by Judy's progress and they'll get quite close together, that remains to be seen. Here's a close-up on Judy's structure right now. That massive convection dome there, and those white zones, that's minus 90 degree cloud tops fading to grey there. That's getting up towards minus 100, and you just saw Vanuatu there getting pretty close to the storm. And this here is the remnants of Freddy, and you can still see it's blowing up copious amounts of convection even further north there towards the borders with Zimbabwe and towards I think it was Malawi eventually, if you continue up there. And this is a wide view of everything there, and that's expected to turn towards the east out at sea over the Mozambique Channel as a weak system. Sea surface temperatures across the Pacific, there they are right now, around 26 degrees Celsius, maybe 25 actually over large parts of the Central Pacific, pushing 27 in the Eastern Pacific off the coast of Mexico, into the Atlantic, Caribbean Sea, 26 to 27 degrees Celsius generally. Maybe that's a little bit optimistic. And over to the Arabian Sea, temperatures there right now looking decent, especially near the coast of India, 28 degrees probably there, and in the Bay of Bengal, temperatures looking good as well, 27 degrees plus. Down in the southwest Indian Ocean, still good conditions, very good conditions in the Mozambique Channel, pushing 29 degrees Celsius, 28 near the Seychelles and off the northern tip of Madagascar, and down in the lower reaches as well, temperatures still looking okay at 26 roughly where Enala is. Off the coast of Australia, piping hot, pushing 30 degrees Celsius. The Gulf of Carpentaria just that little bit cooler, 27 to 28, and the Coral Sea much the same, although it gets quite a bit higher towards the Solomon Islands, around about 29 to 30 degrees Celsius. 28 roughly around the Fiji region, and in the Western Pacific you've got there decent amounts of warmth, getting up towards 28 degrees Celsius in the deep tropics, a little bit cooler further north around the coast of Luzon right now, and Manila looking at about 26 degrees Celsius. Western Pacific is above average compared to normal, as is the South Pacific, most of it, especially around Vanuatu and Fiji, quite a bit above average there in the Coral Sea. Elsewhere it's half and half, and it looked like we were seeing the end of the La Nina comprehensively, but look at that, a few cool pockets still off the coast of South America near the Galapagos Islands, so maybe that is just on the buffers just a little bit. Oceanic heat content, look at this, still quite decent amounts around Fiji and Vanuatu, the areas that really matter. Cyclones end up going there more than anywhere else in that region. Turquoise and above is pretty okay there, and towards Guam, decent colours there as well, up to the oranges, so quite a lot of energy there extending down to a fair distance. Well, let's check the GFS computer models, and first of all we're in the Eastern Pacific. Oh dear. It is within the 5-day period now for a potential system developing near the Central Pacific mark around the 3rd to 4th of March, just near the end of that 5-day period, and it does potentially become a system. Is it a nameable system? I think it might be based on what the GFS is showing there, although other models haven't caught on to that, so it's a wait and see. My guess is it probably won't happen. Down in the southwest Indian Ocean, you can see Enala there continuing to stall quite a bit and heading quite a bit further north actually before it eventually weakens for the final time. And you can see the remnant energy of Freddy as well in the Mozambique Channel there. It doesn't acquire tropical storm force winds, so I really don't see it getting back towards tropical storm status, of course, but it could just about get that convection and circulation going. Might get back to tropical depression status officially. We'll wait and see, but it is going to move back out over the waters. Now in the South Pacific, and a lot going on here, you can quite clearly see Judy parading through the islands of Vanuatu as a category 1 or 2 equivalent, and just circled that area near Australia as well, which we were looking at for that system. It actually intensifies a little bit inland, or at least gets better organized. And then we're looking at that other system that follows Judy towards Vanuatu, so 3 different areas of interest really, and that second system also gets to hurricane equivalent status. Both of them are most likely to get to category 2. And this is the rainfall expectations for Judy and then the other system combined. And no doubt that will lead to some very high rainfall amounts in some parts of the islands of Vanuatu, pretty much exclusively limited to those islands as well, although Fiji might get a little bit too, but we're looking predominantly over Vanuatu, getting up towards 14, 15, maybe some areas at 16 inches of rainfall. That is 400 millimeters. A few spots over water that will get much more, up towards 800 millimeters. And over in Fiji, we're looking at maximums on the main island there of around about 10 inches, and possibly on the northern island some decent amounts there as well, pushing 10 inches too, 250 millimeters, Vanua and Viti Levu. So this line and this double 1-2 punch from those 2 storms. In the longer range, we're looking at the Bay of Bengal. The GFS is still showing up a potential system in the 5 to 10 day range, which starts getting itself together on the 8th of March there, and then moves northwestwards. A compact system and quite strong there, reaching a quick peak around about the borderline between hurricane status, and then it ends up just a lot hugging the east coast of Sri Lanka and eventually dies off as it reaches the northern tip. Still big question marks over this one. It is a little way out. What's to become of those 2 cyclones in the South Pacific? Well, Judy's way down there now, and the other system following well in its footsteps, so really there isn't really any other land areas that will be impacted by those 2 cyclones after Vanuatu and maybe Fiji. New Zealand looks like it will pass, both storms will pass well east of New Zealand, which of course are on alert as always after what we've seen so far this summer season. And later on in that run, not much else going on. You can scan the barcode and take a look at the Force 13 merch store with our usual items, as well as our full season and individual storm animations at your request, at your service. We also have the Still Waiting for Hone t-shirt. Ironically, if the GFS is correct, we might have it soon. In the Scilly range, this is day 10 to 16, and we call it that because it is usually quite outlandish. So there is a cyclone forming near Mauritius. Now that's not too outlandish really, it's just the time, it's just how far out in advance it is, and it ends up almost doing a half circle there around Mauritius, around the eastern side. Becomes a very broad tropical cyclone, doesn't acquire too much strength, probably gets to around 60 miles per hour there, and then starts to bend towards the southwest. Elsewhere in the super long range, the South Pacific doesn't want to quit. It's really got its mojo on right now. A system forming briefly near Fiji, and a much larger system in the Coral Sea makes a run for the northern tip of Queensland, and there it is making landfall around about the 14th of March and surviving into the Gulf of Carpentaria. Very weak though, we're not looking at two massive hitters there, so all in all not looking too bad on the long range around the world. The main threat right now is quite clearly Judy and perhaps that other system with that 60% on it right now. And you can talk about all of it, past, present and future, on our Discord server, discord.gg/force13, general weather chat there as well, and even other sciences get discussed there too, as well as our earthquakes channel chat. Well then, I would say that 1992 was the epitome of a Southern Hemisphere season, and this image might show you why. February 28th had on its books two Category 4s, a Category 2 and a Category 1. Ian would become a Category 3, I think, as it approached Australia. Harriet Heather peaked as a Category 4 as well, and two tropical depressions, if that wasn't enough, near Mauritius. Gerda was one of them, which I think almost got the tropical storm status, I can't quite remember, and the other one remained a depression. Crazy times back in 1992 in the Southern Hemisphere. Back to this year, and I wouldn't say it's completely the other way, but we are used to not seeing anything like that these days down in the Southern Hemisphere, but one day I'm sure we'll see something like that again. In the Atlantic though, the first name on the list is Arlene. In the Eastern Pacific it's Adrian, and in the Central Pacific it's Hone, that's in the Northern Hemisphere. In the Western Pacific, Sanvu is up next on list 5, and in the North Indian Ocean we're looking out for Mocha. That could be that storm that we're tracking on the GFS. 10 storms so far, but looks like the 11th will be in the Southern Hemisphere. The next name in the Australian region is Herman, the Southwest Indian Ocean, Fabienne, and in the South Pacific now, it's Kevin. That's all from tonight's Tropical Weather Bulletin. We'll be back again tomorrow night.